What's up guys, I'm back with another video, and in case you're new to this channel, leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe, and join the family. It's not really a family because there's only like 12 people, but you know what, to those 12 people, I love you. I love you. I might give you some cookies because I love you, but to the 12 people, some of them I don't know who you are, but just in case, it's nice having you guys on the channel. It's nice knowing that people actually watch these videos and enjoy them at least somewhat. I really appreciate support, guys. I'm gonna keep doing these videos every time. I'm gonna try to make new videos every day. Today's day 2, so I'll make sure this one gets out on day 2 and as well as the other ones. Sometimes I might be a bit late since I do go to school now full time. It's my last semester and hopefully I'm graduating this semester. It's gonna be a busy time, but bear with me, guys, and hopefully you guys like the videos as much as I make them. As much as I like making them. It happens, trust me. So my last video, I was saying I was going to give tips at the beginning of the video, ended up being an item video, so this one's a tip video for sure. And hopefully this goes out to people that are barely learning photography, or people that just feel like they need to up their game or just, you know, enhance their skills a little bit more. Tip number 1, don't oversaturate. I know a lot of people like to. I know a lot of people in the field in this photography game that love to oversaturate, and they do it because it gives a aesthetic. But I can tell you sometimes it absolutely doesn't. What I recommend actually is to leave the saturation bar only for the cases of product photography or just scenery, because when it comes to you know, that area of sharpness, if you do that, it's a no-no. We don't do that here. But if you feel like you need to do it, do it. People have their own photos. I can never judge anyone for their photos. I can never tell anyone if it's a bad photo, if it's a good photo, because everyone has their own taste. And my photos, if you go to my photography page, which by the way, I will link down in the description. I hope you guys very much take a look at it. But if you look at my photography, it's never really about the saturation. It's more about the in-depth look of it. So I make sure there's a lot of details in it, a lot of sharpness in it. I make sure there's not too much noise, but again, I don't put too less either. I want to make sure it pops out and, you know, it's a good photo. But my recommendation for the first tip, don't oversaturate your photos. Especially if you're doing model photography, the skin on the model is either going to look really orange, but if you go really low, it's going to look really pale. Lips are going to look really pale. The photo is just going to look as if it's super desaturated, or if you oversaturate, it's just going to look way too like dark in colors, and at that point the photo's gone. You don't want to do that. But just in case you feel like you do that, and you know that's how your photos come out better, to each his own. Tip number 2, get the angles. What I mean by that is, yes, people make fun of other people whenever they're doing photography and they crouch all the way low to get a photo. And I do it all the time. I'm not guilty. I am not innocent. I do it all the time. I will crouch down. You can probably see my underwear at one point when I'm doing that, because I want to make sure I get the best possible angle. But there are people that admire higher angles and they do lower angles. Now, what I mean by that, when you do lower angles, it's usually for street photography or, you know, model photography. You sort of want to get down, get the whole photo of the outfit. If the model's wearing heels, you want to get the heels in it with the dress, with the belt, with the hat. You want to make sure it looks good. If the model is, say, like in an urban setting, you want to sort of get on a ledge and just get photos. For some of my photos, I've had to literally get on a really high ledge, take a photo from top going down, and it's come out pretty amazing. You know, generic photos of just standing straight where you get headshot, shoulders, chest, you know, hair and all that. It's great, but the best type of photos, I would say in my opinion, is when you get the angles and you actually show the effort, especially when you're shooting. It makes everything less intense, I guess, in a way. I'll explain that right now. Tip number 3. Tip number 3. Please, for the love of God, if you're doing a model shoot and you have a friend that's doing the modeling, or it's an actual model that, you know, that's doing, like, you're doing it for a company, whatever the case is, make them feel uncomfortable. When people get there, they're really shy about showing themselves. Some people aren't. Some people are social butterflies, myself included. But there are some people that aren't because they're more afraid to smile in front of the camera, they're more afraid to do an awkward pose, or if they feel it's awkward, they'll stop themselves. Because in your head, you don't want to do anything that sort of embarrasses yourself, because it's a safety mechanism. So what you can do is try to crack some jokes, say something funny, get them to smile, make them do the awkward pose. Say, hey, put your hand like this and your hand like this, or sit right there on the ledge but kick one leg out and kick one leg in. Because what it'll do is it'll entice them to actually act out of their comfort zone. It'll entice them to smile a lot more, which in any photo is literally the best thing ever. Or if you want them to do a serious face, like make them do a serious face, but then right after make them do like, well, just get them to laugh, because you don't want them to be too serious too long, and then you don't want it to be where it's all fun and games either at the same time when you're doing the photos. Because sometimes you want to get these photos for a company, and the last thing you want to do is, you know, you go back and you're like, I got like 2 photos, and then they're like, what? Like, trust me, just get it done, but make sure it's an enjoyable time. I'm not saying be mean either. I'm just saying be a nice person about it. You know, they're working with you, you guys are working with each other. Without the model, sometimes the photographer can't do the job. Without the photographer, the model can't do the job. It's a give and take in that relationship, but just make sure you let them have a good time, make them laugh, make them smile, and just, you know, make sure they get that photo that they've been wanting, because that's what they're really there for, and that's what companies are there for. You know, they're relying on you as a photographer to get the photo. So just do that, and trust me, it goes a long way. If you're getting in the car at a slow speed when you're doing the daylight shot and it's a drag shot, you want to go to safe speed where you're not endangering yourself, any other ones, and you end up getting a really great shot from it. This tip is for Mac users. If you're not a Mac user, I don't know how it goes for this, because I only ever work on my Mac when it comes to my photos. But if you have, you know, any other device, say like a desktop or anything, you can use Lightroom. But for Mac users, what I use is an app called Polarr, P-O-L-A-R-R. It's actually a free, a free software that you can use for editing photos. I use it all the time. A lot of my photos come out pretty clean through it. No fringing on it, especially. They make sure they take away from the fringing. They take away from any other bad colors. It works with RAW photos, JPEG photos, any other format photos that you have. I use it. It's free. It's nice. It's easy to work with. I worked with Lightroom before. I love Lightroom, but unfortunately I'm a college student. Can't really be affording all these things out here. So I use Polarr. Helps out. The markers, everything's so easy on it. I use that. I worked with Lightroom before. I really loved it, but the thing is, for me, like, there was so many options, and you know, in order to like guide around, you had to do that. And luckily, some other photographers have set packs for Lightroom already ready for the photos, which is pretty cool. In case if you ever ask me, like, I think it's actually really cool that other photographers get together, their fans and other people that are pursuing this dream of theirs, to be able to make photos like theirs, if not edit them, or, you know, just do all that. And I think it's really cool of it. But if you can't afford Lightroom's like $60. If you can't afford that right now, and you're getting the game and you have a MacBook, download Polarr. If you're trying to do like a little bit of Photoshop area and you can't download Photoshop either, use Photoscape X. It's like literally, it looks like a key with a little red corner on it. I use it and it actually works pretty well. That was weird. Anyways, yeah. So my camera just like shut off for some reason. I think after a while I'll change the settings on it soon. But make sure that you do download those softwares that'll help out in the long run. And in case you do save up to get Lightroom or Photoshop, do that. You know, buying softwares is actually really good for your computer if you download a free one. I don't know how well protected your MacBook is. Mine's pretty good. I never had problems with it, thank God. Especially after downloading them, still no problem. So I see no problem with it at all. And downloading them, just don't go through ones, like don't download softwares that you know can possibly be a problem. I know a lot of people that do that and they end up regretting it in the end. So don't do that. Last but not least, get creative. You're a photographer, or if you're aspiring to be a photographer, you know that the number one rule is to be creative. Be different from the rest of everyone else that is doing photography. Now you'll meet people that will say, well, I did this and this is cool. Awesome, cool. But if you're your own photographer, you're your own person, be creative. Do time lapses with lights, or throw sand in the air, or do a firework, or something like that. Just be creative and be different. When you do that, you get to show clients and you get to show everyone else that you're not like everyone else, and you get to give them a reason why to go to you, especially if you're trying to pursue photography as a business and have it where you actually take photos of models or for companies. You want them to say, well, he's not like the last 500 photographers we've seen, so why not go with this person? And in that, you actually grow clientele, you grow more of your creative side, and you're gonna do different things. Even if it's just like photos of urban photography, like photos of where you're in public and you see a person fighting with another person. Although it's not, I don't condone taking photos of that. Sometimes those photos actually come out pretty cool. But I do recommend getting creative. It's the best thing you can do, and just try to open your mind up to some things. One last thing that I can give advice to, and I've had this problem in the past, and I can tell you how many times, I can't tell you how many times I've dealt with this, is if you're a photographer and you're starting to do good, people ask for you to do their photos. That's understandable. And if you got to that point, if you're at that point, good job, I applaud you, and everyone else does. It's really hard to get to that point sometimes for most people. Now, when you get to that point, you'll have people saying, well, how much does it cost? Now, let's give the estimate that you're going to a location, because you're usually the one driving to the location. You're taking the photos, you're taking the time out of your day to edit those photos, you're taking the time out of the day if you're printing those photos. It costs money to print those photos. It costs money to deliver those photos. Different situations like that, it's a lot harder than usual. And it's funny because a lot of people will be like, but we've known each other for a long time. At that point, it's your own decision whether or not you want to charge them. But if you're going to charge them, say you're just started, charge them like $20, something cheap, because you just started. You want to build your clientele first. Start doing like pro bono work for free, do photos for realtors, do photos for someone in the street. If they're saying, hey, I need my photos done, I just want to get photos for my Instagram, just do it. Make sure they tag you, make sure they share you, because at that point you build clientele to where someone's gonna be like, all right, cool, like now I want you to do my photos, I want you to record my music videos, I want you to do any of that, and they'll pay you at that point. But don't ever cheap out on yourself either. It's a point where you're like, yeah, I'll do your photos for your whole thing for $5. I'll print your photos and everything like that only for $5, because then at that point, when people cheap out, it's like they say you get what you pay for. If you were to pay for a $2, a $2 meal, like a full meal with drink soda and anything like that, you might get sick. The chances of that are pretty big. So don't do that. Make sure you know your worth. If my camera keeps dying, I don't know why it does that. But the whole thing is, make sure you know what you're worth. Make sure you know what your photos are worth. And it's an art. It's also your job, though. So do what you love. Be happy and all that. And just continue doing it. Don't ever let anyone stop you either. Don't let anyone discourage you. If you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will be posting a lot more of these videos. I'll be posting time-lapse tutorials with lights, different creative photos that you can do with fire. I've done a lot of photos with fire. Other photos, say like car photos or behind the scenes. I'll be posting behind the scenes. I'll start posting more vlogs. A lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people, but most people enjoyed my vlogs. And for those people that did enjoy the vlogs, I will be coming out with a bunch of vlogs soon. Since I am in school most of the time, I'll be posting most of the time when I'm at school. I'll be recording most of the time when I'm at school. But I'll also be recording when I'm doing different things outside of school, the days that I have free, but with my friends, and I'll make sure I record them and all the things that we do. But other than that, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I hope to see you guys again for the next video. And until then, lights.